Welcome to Pigskins and Pageantry, a podcast dedicated to all things SEC football. My name is Wes, and I'd like to invite you to join me, Jesse, and Matt each week as we discuss last week's games, news from around the league, make predictions for the upcoming games, and much, much more. What's up, everybody? It's Wes, and welcome to a frigid episode of Pigskins and Pageantry. Temperatures are dropping all across the nation, but we try to keep our analysis red hot. See what I did there? So
awful, Wes. Let's try it.
It was pretty awful.
Start over.
The play on the field might be over, but the biggest news of the season happened after it was all said and done. We'll talk about it and much more. But first, we need to check in with our co-hosts and introduce a very special guest. First, Jesse, how are you holding up?
Just want to play.
I see Vitamin C. What's the song?
Our graduation. We'll be friends forever. Fine. Everything's fine. He has a new office in the northern end zone. We're okay.
And he's not dead. He's still alive.
Dead. He's not dead, and I have successfully not eaten my feelings in oatmeal cream pies. So that's a win.
That is a win. All right. Matt, what's going on?
Oh, we're just celebrating with all my friends. It's like VE Day over here. So, nothing too serious going on. Just vibing. Because the dark times are over. The evil empire has fallen.
Why did I get
retired? And all is right in the world.
Yes,
Jesse, I said it. He's gone.
Why did I get Michael Scott celebrate good times? Come on, vibes from that.
No, man.
Bama fan tears. Ooh,
yeah.
Tasty.
Sometimes when you cut the head off of what you call a snake, more pop up, and it just gets bigger and worse. And it hurts your feelings more.
Jesse, you had to get all Greek mythology on us. Come on.
Y'all got the head coach from Washington. There is no Hydra coming. Let's calm down.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll get there. All right. And like I said, we do have a very special guest today, Josh, who's a member of the Roll Tide Nation over on TikTok, one of the most followed accounts when it comes to Alabama fandom. Josh, it's great to have you on the show. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get going.
Yeah. So my name's Josh, guys. Diehard Alabama fan, born and raised. I do remember all the Mikes. Mike Price, Mike Shula, Dennis Franchione. So I'm not just a Saban baby. Now, I was younger when those were going on, but I do remember that. I lost a bet every year in elementary school because we lost to Auburn until we finally got Nick Saban. That was a very sad day last Wednesday at 4:06. I remember the exact time Chris Lowe reported it. And it's one of those things, man, that like I get where some people are going to be happy about it, but it's one of those things for us Bama fans that are diehard fans. It's a gut wrencher, it hits you right in the stomach, and wasn't expecting that one either, so completely new. To double back real quick, you talked about my page. I created this page like 3 years ago, or actually like 4 years ago now. And it was the first Bama page on TikTok. There was not one. I just started making edits, going crazy. Things blew up. Then I started doing these daily shows where I brought people on, and things kind of blew up from there. And I'm just, enjoying the ride now, man. And, love doing stuff like this, hopping on different podcasts, talking sports with people, man. It's what makes the world kind of gel together right here is sports, man, especially football in the South.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to having you on the show. We were going to record right after the national championship game, but as we said, I'm glad we didn't, because some really huge news broke after that. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and talk about that game, and we'll dissect it a little bit.
Always remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
All right, let's talk about the national championship game between Washington and Michigan, the CFP National Championship presented by AT&T. There you go, Matt. Get the corporate stuff in there.
Well, you don't have to include the corporate things all the time.
Hey, if they pay for it, they're going to say it, right? So
they're not paying us, so it doesn't really make a difference.
Well, that's true. but it is part of the
Yeah.
title. Anyway, Michigan won this one 34-13. Matt gets the point as he picked Michigan. I don't know why I put 38-38 because that's not right, but you did pick Michigan by 10, I think, and which was a bigger margin than mine. So you win, and we'll go ahead and say Matt wins the pick'em and $100. Congratulations. Do I have like a congratulations thing here?
Everything is coming up, Fortson. I love
Yeah.
it.
Dang it. Okay, I should have been more prepared. Anyway, I don't have, it's like a celebratory sound. But anyways, congrats, Matt. That's awesome.
Did you really
Uh,
win if Michigan won? Did you
Right.
really?
I don't have a
Any
dog in
of
that
us
fight.
really?
I don't care. They're gonna have to put an asterisk next to it in a couple years anyway. So what
That's
does it
true.
matter?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, so I guess Josh, let's start with you. What was your take on this game and just sort of how it went?
Um, so I picked Michigan to win this game as well. I thought it was going to be a little bit closer, to be honest. But from what I thought was going to happen happened. Michigan controlled the game line of scrimmage. Especially Washington's defensive line could not. You could see it. I mean, Michigan was running at will. Edwards, I think at one point was 2 carries for like 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, I mean, you just couldn't stop the big plays there, and then Michigan just got rolling on that. Washington couldn't capitalize. I felt like that was a step behind the whole night. But commends to Washington getting there. It's tough to get to the national championship game, especially, Pac-12 with what was going on this year with them and, everybody's foot's out the door. And then to, finish strong over there and, get a push for a natty. First time I think Pac-12's been in it since Oregon played Auburn, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, Florida State, Oregon and Florida State, but it was Oregon either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so really good game though, really good game. It was way better than last year's national championship. I will say that. That was a boring. Dude, I mean, like 3 minutes in, I was like, all right, get the middle school team out, like get them out. They're done.
And the wild thing is that TCU beat Michigan to get there, right?
I know.
Was
So-
Michigan
Mind
cheating
blown.
yet then, or no?
I think so, probably.
I think they avoided looking at TCU stuff because they thought they wouldn't see TCU.
Yeah. Or they
Yeah.
thought they could just beat them,
Yeah, that's true. I think there was something, I did hear something about they mixed up the signals because they knew Michigan was cheating. So the cheating was going on, but they just,
Oh.
they fooled the,
Allegedly.
allegedly, yeah.
Alleged. Yeah.
Matt, what was your take on the national championship?
You know what? I was really digging this game for the first 2.5 quarters, and then after we got back from the half, it kind of fell off. I mean, I anticipated Michigan to win, but I was hoping that Washington was going to be able to keep this a little bit closer. That final score doesn't really show how close this was through 3 quarters because I mean Washington was hanging in there, but Penix just couldn't really get in a rhythm. We talked about it while we were watching the game, Wes. It looked like every time he had a moment to take the game into his hands, he would overthrow a receiver or miss the throw or hold the ball too long. He didn't have a good night. And I'm not going to sit here and dog a guy because he's put a lot of work in, but I think a lot of that has to do with those quarterback struggles in this particular game. Now, to Michigan's defense, their defensive line, their linebacker core were in the backfield a lot. Now, I was looking at the stats a second ago. They didn't have any tackles for loss. They had 1, I think, and 1 sack. But I would be wondering what the number for QB hurries was because I don't have that number right in front of me. But it seemed like they were putting a lot of pressure on Michael Penix a whole lot over the course of this game. McCarthy had a pretty good game. Granted, it was very game managery sort of game, but it still looked really good. And then the really nasty thing that Michigan was able to do is they were able to control the line of scrimmage, like Josh said, and then they just gashed them on the ground. Blake Corum had over 100 yards. Donovan Edwards had over 100 yards. And Washington couldn't do anything to stop those two guys. So Khaki Pants can finally have his steak and milk, and he can enjoy himself a national championship before he moves to Atlanta and becomes the head coach of the Falcons.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Allegedly.
One thing that I enjoy, Matt, is when people who give us a hard time on like YouTube or whatever, end up eating their words. Because you said that Penix was going to have like what 210, 230 yards passing or something like that. And some people were like, well, I guess he's going to be going up against the 85 Bears and a bunch of other teams because he's going to get. And I was like, actually,
listen, Michigan Stout, they made Bama look a little sophomoric in a couple spots, and if you can do that to a Nick Saban coach team, I'm sorry, you're going to be able to do that to a lot of people. So
very true, very true. Jesse, what was your take on this?
I can tell you that watching a Michigan national championship when you are approximately 25 minutes away from Ann Arbor.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
The worst. It's terrible. I had to go to Detroit that day, and I realized on the way there that it was that evening, and I'm like Googling how close we are to Ann Arbor, praying we're closer to East Lansing and maybe other people will hate them too. No cigar. So we went to a bar and watched it, and I'm telling you, not every first down, but every ball carry, these people were cheering, and I was like,
man.
I have to leave this state.
It's like every time I go to watch a Georgia game with Wes, this is constant people barking and
you know me, I'm
howling at the
moon.
control.
I hated it, but I think Matt was absolutely right. You know, we're watching the first half of the game, and it's a game, and you're like, all right, well, maybe things can happen. And then it was like in the second half, it just wasn't going to happen. I think Michigan cleaned up a lot of the mental errors and fundamental errors that they were making in the game against Bama. You didn't see that this time. They were much more even keel and precise. Didn't almost get a safety in the end zone. And I will say Penix, and now this sucks because of the future news we're going to talk about and the coach who just got to Bama. I did not like leaving Penix in the game. He was clearly not feeling well. He was clearly hurting to me, and they knew they weren't going to win. There was no need to leave him there. And he's a quarterback that's been injured 3 different seasons, like season-ending injuries. And to kind of leave him in the game, I thought was a little bit irresponsible, knowing that you're not going to win. This kid is trying so hard to get to the NFL. He's playing in a national championship, which is the one time that these guys want to play. It's in a playoff game or a natty. Whereas otherwise, all these other guys get to sit out because they don't have to play. It's a bowl game nobody cares about. So for me, I didn't really like that. And again, I'm not on the sideline. So maybe Penix was like, nope, I'm staying in there. I'm doing this. But again, I'm going to say it like I've said it all season. You're the adult. Be the adult. Okay. Like, they're children. Yes, they're probably like 23 at this point because they have COVID years, but they're children. I digress.
Jesse, that's really disrespectful. I know everyone was on the edge of their seat watching the Pop-Tart Bowl, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, that mascot was cool, Wes. You put some respect on the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Pop-Tart Bowl stole the show. It's coming back next year.
That's what I heard, yeah. The edible mascot.
I really hope it's a brown sugar cinnamon one next year.
It low-key got more hype than a lot of other bowls, like at the Pop-Tart Bowl. It was kind of funny, more or less, than anything, seeing the hype it was getting.
I can't wait for some of these other food-oriented bowl names to become edible mascots.
I want a Del Taco Bowl. I want a Del Taco Bowl where the entire trophy is just made out of California burritos. That's
hello, the Cheez-It Bowl.
I mean, Cheez-Its are garbage.
Oh, man, I like Cheez-Its.
But they were carving Cheez-Its.
I got to.
There. They had Barber.
Stevie B's Bowl. And it's just
there you go.
Everywhere.
Ooh.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think y'all really kind of hit the nail on the head already. I mean, it was a bad omen right off the bat when Washington had a chance to answer right away and Penix overthrew the receiver in the end zone. I think we kind of got an idea of how the night was going to go then, and we saw a lot of that. Maybe it's just me and I haven't noticed it before, but Penix did a lot of this sidearm slinging stuff. I have never noticed that arm angle from him before, but if it is, that's going to be something they're going to want to try to correct before he goes to the NFL, because, I mean, you see that some in the NFL, but man, if that's like your go-to, that's not going to be good.
Yeah, you see it when like Patrick Mahomes is scrambling and like about to be tackled and like dives and throws it, but it's not an effective strategy.
Right. Yeah. So So yeah, there was that. Y'all already mentioned line of scrimmage. Michigan definitely dominated that, and it was kind of that slow domination where it just sort of slowly got out of control, and then obviously we saw Michigan pull away at the end. So, yeah, I mean, it's really a similar vibe to what they did to Bama on both fronts. In terms of the line of
That we
scrimmage,
took the national champions to overtime.
it's up. Yes, yeah, it's up that you can say that. So I really don't have much more to say on it because it's already been said. And like you said, Matt, probably going to be an asterisk eventually. So
Allegedly.
kind of a moot point.
Not allegations, it's evidence.
Hey,
That's
real
right.
quick, did
Not
y'all hear
adversity.
what Jim Harbaugh said? Like, so Michigan came out and they were trying to work a new contract with him.
Yes.
And he wanted to put in the contract that he couldn't be fired for any
Right.
future things
And
that
no
came.
fire clause.
Dude,
Right.
he is
Hey,
that man is wild.
guilty
wild.
dogs bark, bro. That's all
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
No termination
Right.
clause.
The
Yeah.
confidence and dare I say audacity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But think about it. Think about it.
audacity.
If you're the head coach at Michigan and you want the biggest bargaining chip you can get, he's got it.
He just got it.
He hasn't lost to Michigan. He brought a national championship back to them for the first time since 1997, I think.
7, yeah.
He can write his own check at this point. I mean, he's Michigan royalty.
And he's been in the playoffs for all these other years too. So it ain't like you just randomly had a randomly good year. Like you've had good successful years. Like this is just your building stone, you know.
But it doesn't matter because he's about to go to the Chargers anyway. So what does it matter?
Or the Seahawks.
That's what
We'll talk about that too.
talking.
There's so many options out there. So
I swear to high heaven, I'm saying it now because I lost Saban, I lost Bill Belichick. It's just been a really tough time.
Yeah.
Football has forsaken me.
Jesse's going through it.
I promise you, Robert Kraft, tune in and listen. Do not, for the love of all that's holy, hire Jim Harbaugh at the Patriots. I will. Oh, we've already got a coach. That's right.
I was going to say,
they hired Gerard Mayo, a University of Tennessee graduate, I may add.
Yes, he seems lovely. I just had a panic moment.
Great
I blacked
players
out.
coach. Yeah, great players coach too, man.
Jesse forgot where she was. She had
and Jesse, if you're a Patriots fan, you like that too because Gerard Mayo came up with Belichick and through his system and stuff like that. So that I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, but you know. Some struggle years for us, bro. Struggle years.
You always beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of
we do.
Yeah.
We can only beat y'all though. We can't beat nobody else. Like I don't know why.
All I have to say is go Lions.
It hurts our feelings.
Lions are my pick.
I'm with you.
Wild.
Go Lions, man. I'm with them. I'm riding with them.
Wild for them. I'm so excited. And again,
first playoff win since '93. Is that right? '93.
Yep.
I think
not watch Barry Sanders.
And I think they've only had 2 in their whole existing, counting the one that happened the other night. That and the '93 one's the only 2 I think they've ever had. I think. I'm not sure. I think though.
Their history has been
poverty. Yes, poverty.
Did you see they were showing a guy he'd been a season ticket holder for like 66 years. He's like 80 something years old. That guy has seen some stuff. So
that would have made me cry right there. Like seeing that, dude, I would have probably been like an emotional fan or like, come here, man, give me a hug.
Right.
I mean, Eminem started singing a chant of lose yourself at the game.
I know. You know how dope that would be? Like if you're a fan of the Lions and Eminem's basically kind of like your celebrity mascot. Like that's got to be super cool, dude.
Yeah, we're here for the Lions. That's at the end of the day, that's what we support in Michigan. We're taking a stance on it.
I agree. I like the Lions, and I would literally cheer for them like I would Miami if they won the Super Bowl this year. Not gonna lie,
I think everyone has to, right? Like
Dan Campbell, man, he's a guy too. Like he's a guy. Like when you see him coach, man, like dude, I don't even play football. It's been years. I've been out of high school. I grew up playing it, but no college or until high. But I'll go suit up for this man after hearing that speech the other night. Like you can come use me as a tackle dummy. Yes, I'm like. Let's go, Dan. Like, what do you want me to do? You want me to sweep the gutters? Like, I'll do whatever. Like, he's a good leader.
Yeah. So we will definitely watch the playoffs with bated breath. See what happens with that. See how far they can go. Make that run. So.
Engineer Gibbs.
All right. Let's talk about some news real quick.
Here's the news.
All right, so unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, Nick Saban has retired. That is obviously the biggest news that we've got. Came as a surprise to pretty much everyone, except for maybe a select few. And then in the wake of that, Alabama hires Washington's head coach, Kalen DeBoer. And he has since, given his introductory speech and hired a few coaches and things like that. So obviously they're dealing with trying to mitigate too many bad things happen in the transition. Obviously, there's damage control is the word I'm looking for in that transition period. So really, I just want to throw it out there to you all, just to kind of whatever you want to share in terms of how you feel about the retirement itself. And then obviously how y'all feel about this new hire.
I'm
Anybody?
happy for him. He's 72 years old. Like
Yeah.
what else could he do for us, right? Like that, he is the standard. He has set the standard, and I'm so appreciative. He started coaching in 2007. I was 14, so most of my life has been a Nick Saban era. But much like Josh, I remember the mics. I remember getting made fun of in school for being a Bama fan.
Yeah.
It was not fun, and I think, and this is me like being super sentimental and like silly maybe, but I went to Bama wanting to be a sports reporter, and my dream was to, get to cover a really successful athletic department. I wanted to be on the sidelines, and so much of my college career and my professional career has Nick Saban just all over it, covering his press conferences, being on the sidelines, and just watching him in awe. He is not a large man, but his presence is insane. And what he and Miss Terry have given back to the Tuscaloosa community is amazing. The way that they were there and in it after the tornadoes in 2011, they were there. They supported. They made things happen. And Alabama football was what the town could rally around. It was like that hope that we had. And it was incredible. And he brought a fan base that needed some hope and needed some joy. And he brought it. And he didn't bring it just once and leave us. He did what so many coaches don't do, and he stayed. And he built a culture, and he built a legacy. And as a Bama fan, I am forever grateful for that. As someone who got to interact with him professionally, I am so grateful for that. And dadgummit, that was some damn good football.
Some of the best.
That is insane. I'm so happy for him. He's going to stick around. He's got an office. He's already said, and so is the new coach, he's got the access. Whatever he wants, he's got the access. And I hope he takes advantage of that while still relaxing and taking care of himself. But it will be interesting because the message of Coach DeBoer is stay with Bama, build your legacy, cement your name. The legacy is not going anywhere. But will that actually come true? Because let's be honest, who wants to be the guy that follows up Nick Saban?
It's tough.
I don't.
For sure.
That's terrible shoes to be in. You're never going to be as good as that person.
We said on the show
Yeah.
2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, when Jack posed this very question to you, and that was who would be the best one to take the job. And we all said, you don't want to be the guy after, you want to be the guy after the guy.
After the guy.
So, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's an interesting hire. It was not someone I even thought of. I didn't even know he was in the realm of possibility. I was hoping for Lane Kiffin. I had heard Dan Lanning rumors, and I was kind of hoping they might throw in Bill Belichick just to get him. It didn't happen. When they announced it, I was shocked. Josh, I don't know if you thought that he was an option. I did not.
So I'm not gonna be. This is gonna sound so like a casual take here, but I did think he was an option, and I'm gonna tell you why though. So you said Lane Kiffin, just like 99% of our fan base would yell Lane Kiffin. And I love Lane. I love Lane. If it was not for Lane, Nick Saban the past 6 years would have probably retired 6 years ago. He helped revamp the offense when he was there to make Nick Saban where he to that extra step to where he, was able to finish like he did. But the reason I say that is I was when Nick Saban retired instantly, I'm like, okay, so this is news to all of us as a shock. Our AD has had to have known this for a minimum 24 hours already. Had to. As Nick Saban, when you go to leave, a 2-week notice is what normal people call it in the world. He's bigger than a 2-week notice. I think Greg may have known this well beforehand. And that's why when Nick Saban announced his retirement, Greg had talked about him being already in Washington, talking with DeBoer, getting, something worked. I think that was him already thinking of this. And then he also said in the hiring process that like 3 or 4 years ago, he had his eyes on him. Because you got to think, Nick Saban's on the back end these last couple of years. Why would you, if you don't have a guy in your mind already, then you have failed as the athletic director.
Right.
You failed. You failed, and he did not fail. And a lot of people are like, well, this was the best hire we could get right now, period. Dan Lannon wasn't leaving. They just did something great in Oregon. Kirby, a lot of people were pinching Kirby Smart. I'm like, hey, dude, Kirby's a UGA grad too, man. He's from there. It's his place. They're doing fantastic. Why leave there? Now, I said we could have got Kirby if Nick would have retired 6 years from now. I said we would have a shot at maybe getting Kirby then. That would be on the back end of Georgia, and who knows where things are in 6 years. But that's all behind water under the bridge there. But I'm going to speak on something. You talked about the retirement part. I love Nick Saban. That's the GOAT. I want to speak on the elephant in the room, which will be the departures. Everybody's going crazy right now. I call me what you want. I only think one great player's left so far. Two. My bad. Two. Isaiah Bond and Caleb Downs. Everybody else are. I'm not trying to like bash, but like. All right, we gave up like 47 sacks this year. Bye, Caleb Proctor. I'm okay with that. I'm not upset with that, okay? Everybody's crying about that.
When
I'm
our
not
center
upset.
went,
Yes.
Good luck finding somebody.
Yes. We'll figure that out, buddy. And then, Caleb Downs, Georgia, you're about to get him. I already tell you that, man. T-Rob, that relationship. Yeah, everybody get a great player, arguably the best in the country on defense side of the ball.
He was the freshman of the year, right? I think.
Yeah. Yep. And then Isaiah Bond, man, he's going to do great at Texas, I think. I think those are our two big ones. Everybody's tripping out about the other ones. I'm not hating. Those are probably all great players. I'm talking about for what they've done for the Tide on the field is what I'm going off of here. Turnover rate. You got a new coaching staff in there, bro. Caleb Downs he was recruited by T-Rob and Nick Saban. Guess who's not there right now? T-Rob or Nick Saban.
Right.
So it just, these are like you said earlier, Jesse, we'd say kids. Like, I'm 31. I don't know how old y'all are. I have 3 daughters. So like when I see an 18 to 20-year-old, I still think as them as a kid because in my head, that's what I feel like they, are. So in that aspect, I think that DeBoer has a plan for this. Obviously, kids, their minds everywhere nowadays, especially with money. I couldn't tell you that I would be loyal to a university when somebody's flaunting me, millions of dollars that I've never had in my life,
Sure.
And you're not
that can
guaranteed
just
to ever have again.
Right.
Yes, you could go out there and tear your ACL tomorrow at practice.
Mhm.
And look how many that has happened to.
And you don't get to go to the not everybody goes to the NFL just because you played in college.
Yep.
Right.
And it's it's one of those things, and with the departures to kind of wrap that up there, the April rolls around, the portal will open back up. Obviously, Alabama will be a monster in that, and we'll be devouring. But the NCAA does have to come up with something here, and I'm not complaining about the portal at all because we have been blessed by it here. But there is somewhat of a disconnect here, like to where everybody can shop Arizona, Bama players, and if Jim Harbaugh leaves, watch what happens to Michigan. Watch how this implodes. This is going to be wild. And then you're going to have Michigan and Alabama rolling into the spring needing like 20 guys because we don't have it, okay? And then they're going to be in the portal going crazy. And I don't know. I just think there's like we have some of the smartest minds and we can't come up with a better system when I feel like some average Joes could probably come up with a better system. Like I don't think it's that hard to come up with a system and make it work. So
Goodness knows
you
it's
know,
taken them a long time to figure out a playoff system, and we're still
you're
not there.
right.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
right. You're
the
right.
thing
We're
is,
talking about the
it's
NCAA.
not it's
You're
not
right.
hard to come up with the system. I think the issue is all of these schools being part of the NCAA is voluntary. It's absolutely voluntary. You don't have to.
True. You are
just
right.
won't
Yeah.
play in their sponsored things, but they are a regulatory governing body. But they are still under the federal government. And Lord knows, not to get political, but our government, regardless of who is in charge, is not going to do anything because
You
there
are
too
so
many
right.
people-
So right.
Too many people that want to make money off of athletes
Mhm.
that also support senators and congresspeople.
Yeah.
You are so right.
It's not
That's a winding loophole that we could be on this podcast for hours talking about of things right
for
there
sure.
because you are not lying about that. You are spot on there.
And one big reason for why the whole cheating thing at Michigan may never come to
Mhm.
fruition.
Yeah.
I'm not holding my breath on that case. So,
Yeah.
but
Crazy situation there.
Matt, what are your thoughts on first Saban's retirement and then this hire of Kalen DeBoer?
Well, coming from a perspective of someone that absolutely hated last 16 years or however long it's been of
17.
whatever. I can't do math, that's why I don't teach it. Nick Saban kicking our head in every time I turn around and just dominating the sport top to bottom. I'm glad he's gone. But allow me to take off the Tennessee Vol fan hat for a second and deep down, Coach Saban's a great guy. I know I talked a bunch of junk over the past however long we've been doing this podcast. I say a lot of things, but you can't not appreciate the impact that Nick Saban's had on college football. He's been a great ambassador for it. I know that we disparage a lot of the things that he does. There's been a lot of accusations of things that he may or may not have done under the table. All that aside, I wish him well in retirement. I hope he enjoys it. That being said, I don't feel super optimistic about this DeBoer hire. Only because when you look at those coaches that always seem to take over for the legend, as it were, those coaches don't usually do very well. And there's usually a pretty limited window for how much patience fans of that particular team will have for that person. When you look at his record, and you got it up here on our thing, I mean, guy's 104-12 as a head coach. I mean, he wins. No one's going to take that away. He's 2-1 in 3 bowl games. He was 17-2 in the NAIA playoffs when he was at Sioux Falls. I mean, he's won everywhere he's gone. The only place he's had a losing season was 2020 at Fresno State when they went 3-3. The guy's won football games. However, winning football games in the Great Plains Athletic Conference, the Mountain West Conference, and the Pac-12 Conference, I don't know if that style of football is going to translate well to the SEC. When you look at the job that Washington had going against Michigan, they didn't stack up real well. I felt like they got dominated on both sides of the ball on the line of scrimmage. I felt like the coaching was a little better from Jim Harbaugh and his staff. I don't know. Like, I'm getting, and Jesse and Josh, you're going to hate this, but I'm getting like flashbacks to Dennis Franchione and Mike
don't do
Price
Dennis.
And,
No.
and I know
Say Mike
Franchione was,
Shula.
I know
Say Shula
that
before the hill.
Franchione was only there for like 3 days before he had a sex
Yeah.
scandal, but this doesn't feel like a home run hire to me. This feels like settling, if you will. I feel like they went to Lane. Lane said, "I'm good in the SIP. I'm not leaving. I'm fine. Thank you." Because I think Lane was probably smart enough to go, "I don't want to be the guy that takes over for Nick Saban. That is career death. No, thank you." Lanning obviously probably had a similar thought at Oregon. And I feel like that this guy's probably 3rd, 4th, or 5th on that list. And I don't know. It makes me, the Tennessee fan of me is loving this because I'm hoping that we're getting a return to mediocre Alabama football. what I hope.
Well, you
Uh,
know what it's like to be in the midst of coaching hire debacle.
yes. I mean, this is what happened with Jeremy Pruitt. We went looking for people and looking for people and looking for people, and finally we settled on Jeremy Pruitt, who's probably one of the most destructive SEC coaches in the history of the conference. Not saying that DeBoer is going to be that bad, but
Yeah.
it's just I don't. If I was a Bama fan, I'd feel a lot of trepidation about the situation, and I would be very nervous.
You'd be a little Copernicus.
I would be very concerned, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are good points. To go back to, I think what you were saying earlier, Jesse, is I'm glad that Saban gets to enjoy retirement. I mean, look how many guys have just coached to the bitter end and have absolutely nothing left.
Yeah.
And he has the opportunity to actually take some time to just chill, enjoy life if he wants to step away for a little bit and just enjoy it. I think he's earned that. So I am glad that he's able to do that. In terms of the hire, to me, it felt when I heard the name, I was like, huh? I mean, granted,
I
his
think
name
everybody
was
had that same thought.
in the national conversation, just being in the national championship game, but it did feel kind of out of left field. And then I started doing the math, how you just were talking about with Lanning and Lane and all that, and how those guys weren't going anywhere. And so this was kind of like the next best option. Not to say that he's leftovers, but I mean, in terms of your options that are there, that's what you've got. Obviously, as like kind of like you, Matt, as a Georgia fan, I do kind of hope that this means that they won't be on top all the time. But we'll see. Who knows? I know they've already the no Southern ties thing has already been kind of debunked by what's his name over at Saturday Down South, I think. Obviously, before he came to Alabama, Nick Saban, no Southern ties. Les Miles, LSU, no Southern ties. And they did fairly well for themselves down there. I mean, you could even talk about Brian Kelly if we want to go down there to LSU.
Or don't bring Brian Kelly into it with his fake Southern accent. Come on.
So
we don't need
so cringy, cringy, man.
But the thing is that no Southern ties doesn't mean that he's not going to do well in the SEC. So I'm not just going to go out on a limb and say that right now.
Turns out football, Southern tie. We're good with it. That
right.
can be the tie.
Yeah, for sure. So I do understand that the brand of football is much different, like you said, Matt, in all these different conferences, Pac-12 and then to SEC. I hate to be cliche, but time's going to tell, right? We're just going to have to wait it out and see what happens. And like y'all were talking about with all these transfers and stuff, some people are just going to have to not panic and wait it out and see what happens.
Hey, Wes, listen, it's going to be good. You want to know where it's going to be? You just said, hey, you had to be cliche here and wait it out. But you know where the wait's going to be?
What's that?
It's going to be Alabama versus Georgia, week 5.
Well, true. Yeah.
Because that's going to be.
It's about time y'all played during the regular season. I applaud.
We just played them in the regular season like 3 years ago.
We played 2020.
God help us.
Like week 3 or 4.
Tennessee has to play them every single year. Both of them.
Auburn,
it's been
Auburn
awful.
Probably feels bad too because Auburn plays Georgia
every
year, no matter what. That sucks.
Awful.
Yeah. And I was thinking too, because I think in previous episodes we had talked about, and I said it a couple years ago, is we could get Dabo Sweeney to come over, and Lord bless it, I am so glad we didn't, because when I tell you that is not a culture fit, it's not a culture fit.
Well, you want to talk about people saying that the reason Saban may have left was because of NIL and transfer portal, and then you talk about another guy who's badmouthed both of those consistently.
Yes. People kept mentioning Dabo, and I was like, guys, do you not understand what Nick Saban's saying? And you're saying you want to go after a guy that's on the same, no, we need a guy that wants to adapt to NIL, because that's what it's going to be. Like, we can complain. If anybody could have changed it, it was Nick Saban, and it didn't get changed. So,
Which, I mean, Saban has adapted how many times over the years?
And, dude.
Whether it be new rules or what
at
have
72,
you, new offense.
Man, it just catches up to you. That's what everybody's saying.
He's reached his final form.
And hey, at least you can go out and you can say, hey, my last year I lost 2 games into the national championship team, and I beat number one team in the nation and win the SEC championship. That's a good go out. That's not a bad go out. That's not a bad
No.
season. And
No.
Alabama fans, the spoiled ones, are like, well, we didn't win a natty. I'm like, yeah, but we have so many other things we did great on this season that we could have lost 4 games easy,
Yeah.
but
I
we
think
didn't.
as a Bama fan, I might be more, maybe not more proud than than some of the, like 2020
No,
was an
you're
incredible team.
not
But
Wes.
I
You're
would be
almost
very
on.
proud of this year's
Mhm.
team because of the way they started versus the
Yep.
way that they finished. And that was
I
pretty
agree.
incredible.
One of his best coach teams, if not his best coach
Yep.
team.
Yeah.
And to
Yep.
go out, I'm still going to say on top, like you said, won
Yeah.
an SEC championship, beat a number 1 ranked team, got to a playoff, and
was 4th and goal from a natty. I mean, we were
Exactly.
4th and goal in OT.
exactly. And so many coaches wait too long to see themselves become a villain or to break a rule or to do something that damages their legacy. To go out with your legacy still intact is super
Yep.
important.
And he handed it off like a true leader/legend. Leaders and legends don't leave places in a debacle or craziness. Like, he handed this off to DeBoer, like, hey, now everybody leaves. That's, he can't make decisions for these individual players. But the program is at the highest level you can get it at, versus when he came in, when it was poverty, when we were just coming up. We almost got the death penalty a couple years before that, because everybody was paying players and coaches were paying strippers to go to hotels. Like, it was just wild.
I think we've all
So
been there. So
yeah. So what Saban has stepped into, like, versus what DeBoer has stepped into, are 2 totally different realms of stepping into college football. And it's good that Saban left him in a good spot there. Bunch of 5 and 4 star guys.
Why did I picture, when you said that, I was picturing Jimbo leaving FSU.
Like, that's exactly who I was thinking of too. Yeah, trash. Throw the Christmas tree out by the trash can. Pack up the boxes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a prime example. And listen, Jimbo is getting paid $78 million for Jameis Winston and what's the receiver? Benjamin? Wasn't that the receiver? Kelvin Benjamin? Yeah.
Kelvin
That's the only 2 players you can name from go to A&M and Florida State that was actually was Derwin James? Was Derwin James there when he was? If not, him too.
Yeah,
that would be 3. But yeah, other than that, though, there's not a player that Jimbo you can name 10 Nick Saban or Kirby Smart players right now. Yeah. I feel like,
And I think shifting gears a little bit, I think maybe select few people knew that Saban was done maybe a few weeks or a good while in advance. If y'all go back, and you may have already seen this, and watch the exchange between Saban and Kirby at the SEC championship right before the game, and just the way they are talking to each other, it's almost in the past tense. And it's almost like, and Kirby's just like, you're a hell of a coach. And just like they just knew. Yeah.
It's almost like Kirby knew, man. It's almost like he told Kirby.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if he did. Don't know if he did. That isn't confirmed.
Nick
but I will say,
put it in the text string a couple weeks before.
The text with
he probably told Wayne and Kirby and
Nick can't type that many letters.
That's true. He's got the old flip phone. He's hitting each button like 4 times to get the right letter.
He's got that T9 on his jitterbug phone.
Terry, help.
Yeah.
Not the jitterbug.
Oh, man.
Terry probably texted them.
That's true.
Yeah,
he just hands the phone over. All right, can you do this for me?
Listen,
all
right, listen. Send him a text, all right.
All right, keeping in this vein, let's do a quick speed round. Speed round. All right, so now that Nick Saban has retired, it's time to rank him amongst the best to ever do it. Where would you put Saban on the all-time list? And who would you put in front of him if he's not at the top? Jesse, let's start with you. What you got?
I mean, it's gonna sound biased, but like, yeah. I mean, he's my top because it's like Josh mentioned, he came in to straight trash of a program. It was trash. It was terrible. And then in 2 years, won a natty. That's wild.
Yeah.
He has set the standard that other programs now hold their coaches to, whether it's for good or not. But you don't win a natty in 2 years when you come in. There's no patience. You look at winningest coaches, and I know I've seen stats, people bring up Joe Pa. I'm sorry. You are not the greatest because of what you allowed in your locker room, what you knew was going on. So no, you don't get to be the greatest when you're disgusting. Absolutely not. Greatest is taken out of your title. I don't care how many football games you win. Nick Saban is a good human. And there's other coaches I know that are winning, but to be a coach that has consistently won, who consistently allows players to go to the next level and succeed. There's so many players at the next level that played for him. A lot of coaches can't say that. And to invest so much in the community he coached in, that's another thing for me, for players to respect him. And again, for other teams and other conferences to hold this program and him in such high esteem, to fear playing against him. To me, that's just the mark of the greatest. When someone like this retires, the whole world is either super happy or devastated. That's the greatest.
Matt?
Yeah, I don't think I could say a whole lot else other than, I mean, just look at the numbers. He won the national championship 7 times. That's unheard of. The Bear only had 6, and nobody else even got close to that number. He won almost 300 games as a head coach. 80% of his games were wins. That by itself is a crazy number. When you look at percentages of wins, the only coach that's in a similar vein is Tom Osborne at Nebraska. That's the only other person that has a better name than that. So, or better number than that too. 9-5 in the CFP, 12 conference championships, 11 in the SEC, 1 in the was it like the ASUN or something? I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, biases aside, it's hard to argue against Nick Saban being the GOAT, being the greatest of all time. I don't see how you can make an argument for anybody else. I mean, you can get in the mamby-pamby. Well, he's only got 292 wins and Bobby Bowden has like 325. Yeah, sure, whatever. But when you look at the total package, I really feel like Nick's the best.
And I forgot to mention, look at how many people have coached under him that are now successful head coaches.
Yeah.
The Saban disciples speak for themselves.
Yeah, the Saban coaching tree is pretty extensive.
That 2018 coaching tree at Alabama was probably arguably one of the best coaching trios of, 16, my bad, 16. I said 18, I meant 16. Because you had, or was it 15? I'm confused.
It was when we had
16. Kirby
We
Lane. We had Kirby Lane.
Loxley.
Loxley, Dan Lanning was there then too. He wasn't like a huge coordinator. Yes, he was like his first role was
position coach
at Bama. Yes, and then when Kirby went, I believe he went with Kirby, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But yeah, man, he's
Butch
the GOAT.
Jones.
Hey.
Whoa, hey, we're having a good time, Wes. Why are you gonna bring that devil into this?
I'm sorry. He was a Saban in that tree. If we want to be technical about it, he was an analyst, right?
No. Hold on a second. He jumped in that tree after Tennessee gave him the boot. He came from Cincinnati. He was not in that tree.
I'm just messing, dude.
Don't you do that, Wes. Don't you put that voodoo on us. Don't you do it.
He came to the Nick Saban Hospital for coaches.
That's right.
And he got him a job at Arkansas State where he got blanked out like 76-3.
Yeah, he did.
Anyway.
Bye, Wes. My blood pressure's going up.
Anyway, Josh, what about you?
So I'll give you a top 3. Nick Saban, the Bear, and Tom. It's Tom, not Tim, right? It's Tom Osborne, right?
Yeah,
Make sure I said that right. Yeah. Really good in the 90s. Those are my top 3 coaches. As what Jesse said earlier, I keep the Joe Paterno out because of those reasons. But Nick Saban, man, it's not it's one of those cliche things when you're like, words can't describe this, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, we're talking the last 15 title games. 13 of the 15, Bama either won it or you beat Bama in it. That's it. That you can't ask. You literally probably couldn't draw it up better than that, man. You could, if you laid down and prayed for a good football season or a good head coach to God at any point in time in your life, you would have, upon your wildest dreams, you'd have prayed and got this. I mean, it's just one of those things, man. It's cliche when you say this, you'll never see it again. You probably won't. Like multiple reasons, not just because Nick's the GOAT, but NIL is
Right.
even the playing field beyond, as everybody can see now. People were taking pay cuts to come to Alabama because NIL money. Because now guys are going to get a check. They're leaving Bama to go get a check. And which, hey, I'm not one of those guys that, hey, do your thing and what you feel is best for you. I'm with what Malachi Moore said. And if you don't know what that is, you can go look it up. But yeah, he's the GOAT, man. It's bittersweet. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did cry a little bit when it happened. I had like a moment of silence. I texted my wife. She was at work, and I said, Nick's gone. And she was like, what? And I was like, Nick Saban. She was like, what do you mean he died? I was like, no. I was like, he retired. And she was like, do I need to come home from work? I was like, probably. I'm like, probably. Like, I'm calling in tomorrow. Like, I can't. I'm
You need a
emotionally
day.
unstable.
You need,
Yeah, I
You're
really
emotionally
was, man.
compromised. That's what we call
When
it.
I went into work, they asked me, they were like, hey, dude, do you need to go home? I'm like, I might. Nobody talked to me today. Don't say anything too much to me. Let me be by myself. If you're an Auburn fan, think to yourself. Don't talk
Right.
to me right now.
Well, and I know
they rolled Tumor's corner when they found out. By the way, I
But
don't know if
dude,
you caught
but
that or
well,
not.
some of that was to do with the basketball game too, though, because they just had a big
Yeah.
basketball win. But I think the Saban
it
added
added to
it.
it.
Though.
Yeah.
I think that added to it. Yeah.
Well, I know that y'all can appreciate this, but I don't know if there's probably a bunch of Bama fans out there who do not know how good that they've had it. Just to be
About to
alive in
find
this
out.
era
Oh,
of
the
Bama
trust
football.
fund babies. The trust fund babies are
Um,
going to find
Yep.
out.
They finna find out.
I mean,
I
just
tell listen, I have I have students that are Bama fans that always talk crap about Tennessee. Oh, Tennessee's so awful. Oh, Bama's gonna beat you. I'm like, kid, you've been on the planet for like 5 minutes. You don't know what bad Bama football looks like. You don't have any idea. Don't wish for that. You don't want that voodoo in your life. It's awful.
Them
Yeah.
2000 games, man, from 2000 to like 2006 and even Saban's first year was but that 2000 to 2006 was horrible. But this is my argument, real quick, Jesse. I don't know if you know this or not, but this is my argument to everybody that talks about the old Bama, back to mediocre Bama. So since the 1900, right, to now, 2023, the only decades Bama has not won a natty is the 80s, which was after Bear retired, and the 40s. We have won a natty in every other decade. So, yeah, boom.
Plain,
Yeah,
right.
so
I'm gonna use that.
yeah, I went and looked that up. I was like, hey, so because everybody kept coming in, and then a lot of people are like, oh, well, because I look younger, I guess, than what I am. A lot of people are like, well, you don't know what it's like without saying. I'm like, yes, I do. I lost a bet to Roy Beebe every year in elementary school because Auburn beat us. Okay, I do know what it's like to suck. Okay, we were 5-7.
Shout out to the elementary school days. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you got to put Saban at the top.
Yeah.
I know there are plenty of other coaches out there with perhaps more wins, like you're talking Bobby Bowden, and even maybe a higher winning percentage. But Saban has the most championships at the highest level, and I think that's the measuring stick that we got to go with. And just when you watch something and you just see the sheer domination of a program, there's sometimes that you just sort of have to drop everything and just realize that this is different than the only thing I can compare it to is like prime Tiger Woods back in the day. Is like you just sort of have to sit back and realize that you're witnessing greatness, and it is what it is. It just sometimes you can't say anything about it. You just got to watch it and enjoy it. But yeah, I think that in and of itself, not just the championships, but the way it was done, the dominating fashion it was done, that's the measuring stick. He's at the top. So, all right. So the next one, this one, it could get interesting. It sounds like Nick Saban will continue to be a fixture around Tuscaloosa. Will his constant presence be a help or a hindrance to incoming coach Kalen DeBoer? Josh, let's start with you first this time. What do you got?
So this one's I think this is going to be one that's probably one of the most speculated roles / things talked about when you talk about Saban nowadays, or like going forward at Alabama. I think it's in what Kalen said. He said, "Hey, I'll be stupid not to give him 100% access." He said, same thing with the old Bama players as well. He said, "Hey guys, come back. I want you to come back. I want you to come back and tell us these stories. Let me learn about the Bama, standard and history more." So, that's good to hear from him. But at the same time, there can't be two Chiefs. There can't be two dads. There can't be two tribal. There's a leader in there. Okay, and that's his team. That's Kalen's team now. So Nick would not overstep that, obviously, but I think that there's a line, and you can't cross the line too much on one way, or then you take away from him. So I think it's going to be a 50-50 type thing, kind of give or take what happens. I think that he's going to use them a lot as advice. So, for example, we're going against Tennessee's offense. Last year, Tennessee had one of the fastest per play offenses. Hey, what did you do, Saban, to slow them down? I think that might be what Saban's role is. Also, hey, Saban, we got this 5-star guy coming in this weekend. Make sure you pop up at the field house. Those types of things I feel like is, Saban might be working contracts underneath for home and aways. There might be stuff like that. I just don't see him on the field coaching. Okay. He's not gonna be in the field house and work out. It's what I'm saying? I don't see those type of things. He stepped away from that for a reason, but I do think he has his hand in it enough to, keep him busy, because he's not the type of guy just to retire and do nothing. It's just not his style, not his MO. So I think, he's around to an extent. Like I said, recruitment pitches. Hey, Saban, what did you do in this situation? Oh, you did? Okay, why? Okay, cool. And then he kind of gets an idea and then puts it with his, So I think that's kind of how that'll roll. And then what I've read as well, that's similar to what I said, is an advisor role. So, that's kind of what an advisor is. And it'll be a recruitment pitch too, I believe. Obviously, Nick Saban walks in on a 5-star commit that's 50-50, and he talks to him. He's like, yeah, you come to Bama and shake his hand, boom, 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 the whole little XO thing, that could be good for recruitment. So, I'm excited. I'm glad he's still in house. I'm just gonna. That makes me feel a lot better. That made a lot of Bama fans feel better, I think. And yeah, I'm excited about that part.
Matt, I understand you may have a different take.
I just, the good book says you can't serve two masters, and I feel like this is a situation where you've got too many cooks in the kitchen. DeBoer has to put his own stamp on this program. Saban put his stamp on the program. It's going to be there for a really long time. DeBoer's going to have to come in and do his own thing too. He's going to have to show that this is his team. He's just not the fill-in interim head coach while Nick's in the back having a moon pie. The other part of this, I'm having a brain fart. Where was I going? Oh my God.
Saban's in the back having a moon pie. Kalen,
Yes.
DeBoer's got to make his own stamp.
Oh my God. Right.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
I've lost it. Too many cooks in the kitchen. I'm embarrassed. I can't remember where I was going. What it's going to boil down to. Oh, I remember now. Y'all all seen The Godfather, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Yes. No.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said yes.
If you've seen The Godfather, then there's a scene near the tail end where the Godfather is officially retired. Michael Corleone's taken over, and all of the Godfather's old second in commands and stuff are going to him saying, "Hey, what should we do about this? What can we do about that?" And he's saying, "No, go talk to him. He's in charge now." And I think in order for this situation to work out to the betterment of the Alabama program, you've got to have a situation where Nick's not going to try and stick fingers in, and I don't think he will. I think he's smart enough to realize, his time at Bama's over with. He's still going to be there. I think he's smart enough to go, listen, this is not my program. I have to kind of steer things to DeBoer. I got to make sure no one's trying to do an end around and come and talk to me. I think that's the way it's got to be played. I don't like the idea personally. I just feel like it's it could be a bit of a hindrance if it's not handled well. And it could get really embarrassing really quickly if, certain situations or certain personalities clash.
Right. Jesse, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with both of you. I don't think Nick will be the cause of any hindrance. I don't think he will try to overstep or control from the background. I think the thing that might cause some dissonance is the fan base, and the fact that if there's anything that's done that Kalen DeBoer does that we don't agree with, or he's not successful right away in a certain aspect that Nick Saban was, then they're immediately, and I say they, the Alabama fandom is immediately going to say, you need to go talk to Saban. You need to use him more. This wouldn't have happened. And we can't do that. We can't just say like,
Yep.
You have Saban, use him. Why can't, he's not going to be Saban 2.0, even if he has the ability to talk to him every day. And we have to understand that, and understand that Nick is not the puppet master and Kalen DeBoer is not this, little marionette that he's controlling. He's going to be his own person. Nick will offer whatever advice I'm sure he can give when asked, but he's not in control, and we can't treat it as though he is.
Yeah.
So very true.
I
Hey,
think,
real quick,
yeah, go ahead.
when she said something about the Alabama fans are gonna be like, Nick Saban wouldn't do that. I saw a video the other day, and it was like the first time Kalen DeBoer loses a coin toss. So like, Nick Saban would have lost that coin toss.
It's 100% true.
1,000%.
The unhinged Bama fans
Right,
will
don't
come
talk.
for him at some point.
Yeah, I think it's, man, when I first heard that, when he was saying that in his speech about Saban going to stick around and he wants to have daily meetings with Saban and all this stuff, my first thought was, gosh, why did Saban retire if he's just going to be doing all this? I guess the difference is he doesn't have to be there if he doesn't want to be. He can step away if he wants to.
Zoom
And
meeting.
and yeah, exactly.
He's got a beach house down in Jupiter that he needs to get to. I told y'all when Miss Terry
Yeah.
bought that thing, he was done. I said it last year when that news came. I was like, they done bought a house at the beach. He's gone.
Yeah. I think the success of Kalen DeBoer in terms of the too many cooks in the kitchen type of thing is going to depend a lot on Saban's ego. And I'm not saying that he would let it get out of control, but it is hard to let go, right? Especially for guys like him, right? With that work ethic, it's so hard to switch off, right? You want to continue working no matter what. And he's got that old school thought process and work ethic and stuff like that. He's not gonna give up. So I will say it's probably going to be difficult for him. There's going to be times when situations arise and he's going to want to say the exact thing that he would as if he was the head coach. And I think he'll probably restrain himself, but I think it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, absolutely will. And I'll tell you why. Her name is Miss Terry.
Yeah.
Okay. She's already made him run on the treadmill when he steps out of line. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Stay in line because he has to be home with her more.
Right. Well, the one thing that I could see this going just askew would be if the two of them, meaning DeBoer and Saban, if they ever clashed on something. I have the feeling that most people in leadership would probably side with Saban on it, to be honest with you. And so if it ever were to lead to like an embarrassing situation where DeBoer is kind of disrespected, I could see that as a major area of just being like, I'm out. I can't do this. So
Hey, Wes, real quick, man.
Yeah.
I'm about to have to go. I
Yes,
have my
sir.
daughter waking up real quick, man. But I wanted to say something real quick, guys. Nice chatting with you guys.
Likewise.
Follow me. I know your page already does. So if y'all have individual pages, follow my page, shoot me a message, and I'll give you guys my personal page too. And I would love to have y'all on one of my live shows one night when I have it on here, and I'll bring you guys on. And we chat football as well.
Yeah, man.
You're a lot more organized than me though, Wes, because you send that whole little thing out. I'm a freestyle kind of guy.
It's just an outline.
Really
we can
good
do.
with it.
We can talk whatever.
Yeah.
It's just sort of a skeleton to go off on. Yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of run up and I'm like, hey guys, let's talk about this, and then I'll lead us off, and then we just kind of all kind of fall in. But I'm more new at it. It sounds like you've been doing this a little bit longer too, man. But I wanted to say thank you so much for having me. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate it. And hope you guys, do good with life and, all the family stuff and everything like that, man. And what was what Matthew, right? Matthew
Matt.
Matthew? Matt. Okay, Matt.
Only my wife and my mom call me Matthew, and it's usually when I'm in trouble.
Yeah, my name's Joshua. So Joshua. So Joshua, I'm in trouble. So yeah, I get you on that. Hey, third the third Saturday in October. Okay. I gotta talk to you that week, man.
Woo!
That's a big
It's gonna be
rivalry.
biggin'.
I want
It'll be
to
biggin'.
see you this year, man. It's at
All right,
Neyland
man.
Stadium, and I'm trying to get tickets. Never been to Tennessee Stadium. I want to
Oh,
go.
man.
I
It's
think it's gonna
loud.
be fun. Oh yeah, I know. It's a really big stadium too, man. Super nice. And I want to go. Seems like a lot of fun. But yeah, I want to connect with you guys. But I'm about to head out,
Yeah.
man. Thank you again for having me. You guys are awesome.
Man, it's been so
And,
great to have you on the show. We
yeah.
really appreciate your perspective. It's been awesome. So
Yeah, dude. And I appreciate y'all having me. Jesse, once again, I'm sorry, guys, but you're my favorite. Roll Tide, Jesse.
Roll Tide!
I'm going to get out of here, and I don't give up. It's about nothing but the
But the
Tide,
Tide.
baby. Blitz, Bama, Blitz.
Roll Tide, Billy.
I'll see you guys.
See you,
All right.
Josh.
Have a good one, man.
Bye.
All right. So I think that was about all we
And
had
now
to cover.
everything's back to normal. We're back to 1-1. Oh boy, that was
A lot of Tide.
We have
Ooh.
had double Bama on the show before. We've had double Georgia. And
we need to have double Tennessee. Oh, we have had double Tennessee.
We have. You and
We
Grant
have.
were on the
We
same
need to get an
show.
Auburn cat on here. I need to get my buddy
Yeah.
Grant to come on. He give us the
Yeah.
Auburn perspective.
We do. Yeah. I do try to branch out. Yeah. We need to
Don't
get
do
more.
that, Jesse. Don't do that.
I'm kidding, sort of.
We need a Michigan. Do we know any Michigan people?
I do actually. Yeah. I know
Well,
a
maybe
few,
we need to
actually.
get a Michigan.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get Ohio State. No.
Don't get crazy.
Don't get too
We
crazy.
need to get like a Arkansas or a
Yeah.
Mississippi State.
They're all in Arkansas. Where are you gonna?
It's true.
Wait. I do know somebody who's a Mississippi State fan. She's an alum.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that maybe.
I was just say
Anyway.
I'm welcoming whoever. I love to have the different perspectives on here. So let's do it as much as possible. All right, the final one is, what's your way too early top 5 for next season? Matt, let's start with you. Who you got in the top 5?
Michigan. I think you have to start off at 1. I don't see if you can go anybody else, especially with the way that they won the CFP this year. I think Georgia's at 2. There's a couple question marks about who they graduated, who they're getting back, so we'll have to see about that. I think Oregon at 3 is probably going to start off strong. They're moving to the Big Ten. What's that going to look like? We'll see. I like Texas. Texas at 4. Only because Texas is getting most of their strength back. Ewers is going to be back. I think a big chunk of their defense is going to be back next year. They're also going to be moving to the SEC, so it's going to be their strength of schedule is going to go up a little bit. So that'll be interesting. And I like Bama at 5. I think we'll get a chance to see early if DeBoer is going to be the guy or not.
Yeah. Jesse, who's yours? Way too early top 5.
Yeah, I like where Matt's head's at. I too think Michigan automatically gets put at number 1. You win a natty, you go to number 1. I agree. Georgia at 2. I would say Texas at 3 over Oregon, just because I think, I don't know. I think maybe with them having Ewers coming back and knowing that Bo Nix, I'm pretty sure, is finally out of eligibility. I don't know.
He's out.
But Oregon at 3. I would say, I don't know that Bama's 4, but I'm going to put Bama at 4. And then I'm going to throw everybody off.
Okay.
And I'm going to put Ole Miss at 5.
Ooh, okay.
I thought about Ole Miss. I thought about putting Ole Miss that high.
I'm putting Ole Miss at 5. They finished with a historic season for them, and they have owned the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Putting Ole Miss at 5.
Yeah, the only thing there is Judkins leaving, but I mean, like you said, there's been so many that came in.
They didn't
it's
use
been a
him
good
that
thing.
much, though.
Yeah, they
I
underutilized
mean, like a
him,
little,
I
but
think.
not as much as I thought.
Yeah.
No.
All right, I'm going to say, and maybe I'm a homer, but I'm going to say Georgia at 1. There's some key losses, but and then lots of core members are returning as well. So we picked up some good guys from the transfer portal. I think it's probably the thing that I'm the most excited about is the return of Branson Robinson, who's a really physical runner who missed all of last season with a ruptured patella tendon. He should be ready by spring practice, and I'm really excited to see how he does. Obviously, we picked up a few transfers. We just got and it looks like Caleb Downs, freshman of the year, huge defensive, success there at Bama, will probably end up at Georgia. So number 2, Texas. I'm going to go Texas at number 2. They were already really scary on offense, but now Isaiah Bond has joined another, big time wide receiver for years to throw to. Number 3, I'm going to go Oregon. They're expected to be a contender even with the departure of Bo Nix. A lot of uncertainty there. And speaking of uncertainty, I'm going to go number 4, Bama. Bama has Milroe, who will give them a chance to win, but honestly, I think their biggest loss in terms of players will be what?
I thought Milroe hit the portal.
Jalen Milroe?
Didn't Jalen Milroe hit the portal?
No,
I'm
he's there.
pretty Sure
He's there.
did.
I mean, unless it just happened like in the past few minutes.
I saw something about that.
I think the biggest loss in terms of players is going to be Will Reichert, who was clutch in countless situations over the years.
Highest scorer in NCAA history. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I'm going to go number 5, Mizzou, and that might come as a surprise as well. They're losing Cody Schrader, which will be a big loss, and some people on defense, but Brady Cook and Luther Burden III, who was, a big time receiver for them this year, will be returning. And I think they'll be a bit of a force to be reckoned with. So we might have to deal with Drinky a little bit more. I think the big loss.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Back that up. Say it again.
Yeah, I got Mizzou at number 5. Yeah. So I think if you're thinking some teams that ought to be in front of them, there's big losses for people moving on for both Ohio State and Michigan. So I'm going to go Mizzou ahead of them, but we'll see. Yeah.
Wes.
What? Come on, it's not that.
Are you seriously putting Drinky at 5?
I'm not putting. He's not the only person on the team.
Drinky at 5?
Yeah, man.
Wes.
I'm circling the wagons.
Wes.
I did Toughness Tuesday.
Wes.
I did it all. What?
Wes. Oh no, baby. What are you doing?
Man, I don't know.
I don't want to listen. I don't want to live in a timeline where Drinkwitz is in the top 5. I don't want.
I'm just going off of what I saw and the way they finished this season. Yeah, Brady Cook coming back, Luther Burden III coming back. I think that tandem plus, I think they're going to get a few things figured out on defense too.
You know who's a team we haven't mentioned?
Who's that?
LSU.
Notre Dame.
Why would we?
I just wanted to see Jesse's reaction.
That's it.
There it was. Okay, we're done. We can move on.
Okay, I think that's all I got for way too early top 5. Let's just do a quick opinion and then we'll get out of here.
Sir, if I may venture an opinion.
I'm not really interested in your opinion, 3PO.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Actually, I lied because there's a Just for Fun segment, but you know what I mean. We'll make this quick. Will Jim Harbaugh head to the NFL now that he has a championship? Now, it's interesting because we now have 7, as we record, NFL head coaching vacancies, unless another one popped up today. San Diego Chargers, Washington Commanders, Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, Las Vegas Raiders, Tennessee Titans, and the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know. Do y'all think he'll go? And which one do you think is most appealing for old khaki pants?
Well, I know for a fact he's met with 2 of them. He's met with San Diego. He's met with Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I don't foresee 3 years ago, if you'd said, is Harbaugh going to leave to go back to the NFL? I'd say no. He's an alum. He went there. There's that legacy of wanting to make Michigan better. But after the reactions and the things that have happened over the last couple of years, I don't know if that guy's got any loyalty to anything. So I think he's gone. I think unless Michigan is going to give him a bulletproof vest and a Pope mobile, I think he's out the door.
Yeah, that's why he's talking about the no termination clause, Jesse.
Yeah, I think he's going back. I think he needed to feel a little bit more success before heading back after losing to his brother. But I would say, to me, maybe he goes to the Commanders so he can be close to Baltimore and the bros can hang. Or, I don't know, maybe he heads back to Cali and does a stint in San Diego. But to me, like Falcons, y'all have been struggling since like 98. So I don't know if this is the guy.
They had one good year where they made it to the Super Bowl and then 26-3.
And
Dan,
lost 28-point lead.
oh yeah, yeah. I was thinking way back, but yeah. Yeah, his statement about he doesn't have to sit at the kids' table anymore because he now has a championship. That to me tells me that he's done what he wants to do at Michigan. So
Absolutely.
it would make perfect sense for him, talk about stepping away on your own terms. I mean, what better way to leave? Say, all right, I've done it. I got my championship. I'm going to go off and do other things. I could definitely see that. I saw, and your boy Belichick was interviewed for the Falcons spot, it seems, as well. But I was listening to Nick on Veterans Minimum, a friend of ours from the podcast, talk about the Falcons might be the most appealing one, just because they've got a lot of weapons there. It's in a dome, it's a controlled environment. And so there's a lot of factors that are appealing for the Falcons job. And, it might not be surprising if he went there.
They got some weapons on offense. I mean, but they don't have a QB. I mean, Desmond Ritter's your top QB. Ugh.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if Belichick takes that job, I would be not shocked if Atlanta goes with a quarterback at the first round. And I think they've got like a top 5 pick this year. So you could potentially be looking at them picking up a pretty big name to start off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked. And he's now with Dallas coming out and saying that they're sticking with their coach. I think Atlanta would be a great spot for him because I didn't see him at the Cowboys anyways. Him and Jerry Jones, there's just no way.
No, yeah.
No way.
They're not.
Yeah. Talk about too many cooks and people clashing, egos clashing. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Regardless, I think he's going somewhere. So, all right. Well, real quick, as we finish up, let's do a Just for Fun segment on SEC superlatives. And these are some interesting categories here. We got the first one is most popular. Jesse, we're going with teams here. Who do you got for
teams.
Teams, not individuals. We're going with teams. Most popular. Who do you think? Who do you got?
I mean, I'm gonna say,
It is a tough choice. There's a lot of options.
Well, and I'm oscillating between two, but I'm going to say Georgia because I feel like in recent years there's been a lot of bandwagon Georgia fans. And so I'm going to go with that one. And because I think a lot of people just hate Bama. So I'm going to go with Georgia.
You're saying Georgia because people hate Bama?
Yeah, because there's so many bandwagon fans at Georgia now, and they all hate Bama. So I'm just going to.
I got you. Matt?
I'm going to go with Georgia here, too. I feel like we're in the post-Saban era now. It's kind of akin to the Cold War ending. Once the Cold War was over, who was the only superpower left on the block? That was the United States. Go America. And I just feel like Georgia is the lone superpower that's left standing. And I feel like every bandwagon person on the planet is about to start going and wearing red and black and start barking at small children. I think that's coming. But that's my pick. It's Georgia.
Okay. And to your point there, the question is, how much did just going up against an opponent like Saban make Kirby a better coach? And who could say really at the end of the day, because we'll never really know because you can't quantify that. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic for sure. I'm going with Mizzou because they created a lot of buzz this season. Obviously, it wasn't expected. They finished really well and had some really good games doing it. Next, most non-conforming. Jesse, who do you have for the non-conforming?
I've got two. This is like a tie.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Vanderbilt because they're just not gonna win football. They've just decided to be okay with that.
I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna win a game.
They're not gonna win much of anything. They're not winning in basketball or baseball either.
They're just like, nope.
And baseball was their thing.
Yeah.
Basketball
I'm also gonna go with Florida.
Ooh.
Okay.
Because Florida was like, yeah, we remember winning. We're not going to do that anymore. It's too mainstream. It's too mainstream.
Florida's a hipster now. I kind of like
Florida
that.
has become vegan, and they're going to tell you about it.
Oh gosh. Matt, most non-conforming.
I'm gonna go with LSU. Because based on what we saw at LSU this season, it was the tried but true all we need is offense theory of coaching a football team, and I feel like that's very nonconformist. So I'm gonna go with LSU.
Okay. Jesse, I too am going with your first option of Vanderbilt because as the most non-conforming, because they decided that you do not need a consistent quarterback to win, which is ironic because all of them left. So
Literally.
it
You
is
don't even
what
need
it
a
is.
stadium. It's fine.
Yeah. You know, just like scoreboard flapping in the wind. Who cares? Whatever.
Mhm.
All right. Most humorous. Jesse, who you got for most humorous?
Oh, Lane is an obvious choice because he is intentionally funny.
Yes.
But I'm gonna go with Drinkwitz because he's not.
Not.
Stands
He
on
thinks
business.
you're laughing with him, but you're actually laughing at him. So I don't know
We're
if
standing
that
on business,
counts.
Josh.
But
Jackass.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Mom.
Matt.
If I would also probably say Lane because Lane's a never-ending source of laughs. The other team that kind of came to mind was South Carolina because after that fall from grace from the end of last season, I mean, heck, I had South Carolina as a dark horse to win the SEC East this year, and I could not have been any more wrong than I was. And just the debacle that South Carolina football's turned into, I feel like that's probably the most humorous. Plus, as a Tennessee fan and then ruining our season last year and hurting our quarterback, it gives me a little bit of joy watching them flounder. But
Matt is never gonna let that go. He's
nope,
gonna talk about that
never
for
will.
years.
Never will. Listen, there are a couple things I will never ever let go. I will never let go of the fact that South Carolina is dirty and awful and just terrible people. Darius Rucker can go straight to you nowhere. And third off, the Heisman is a
Heisman.
useless chunk of metal.
Yep, I knew the
So
Heisman was in there.
those are three takes I will never take off the table.
Yeah, I really like a lot of the reels that South Carolina media team put out. Any Office reference is gold for me. I would put that as most humorous. But as far as comedy on the field, maybe A&M because that was just a curious. That was just a circus.
That was a clown show this year.
That's funny because I have in my note here. It was a circus out there this year for A&M. So, yeah. All right. Next, most attractive. Jesse, who wins most attractive?
oh my God, that's so hard.
Isn't it? It's a weird one, but it's funny.
It's
And also very, very mean if we were talking about like superlatives in like the high school sense.
Oh, we had it in my high school.
Yeah.
I still remember who won. Yeah, this one's tough. Come back to me. Matt, go first.
Yeah.
I would probably say Ole Miss because after the season they've had this season, plus with the way they've worked the transfer portal over, plus the way their offenses looked, I just feel like that's probably the prettiest team that's out there.
Ooh,
Okay, I've got
yeah.
one.
Go ahead.
Okay, I've got one. I don't know if it counts, but I'm gonna stick with it anyways, and it kind of makes me want to throw up when I say it. But I'm gonna say Texas because Texas is like the new.
Oh, they're not in the SEC yet. We can't claim them yet. We can't do that.
They're
We
SEC
can't
light.
do that.
They're
It's
SEC light.
2024. They
The season hasn't started yet. When we get to media days, then we can claim them.
But they're like the really pretty girl from another school that is like all of a sudden transferring to your school.
Oh, that's fair. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, but just wait till you
no.
get to know her.
Exactly. And
we'll
it's just,
see.
and it's like, oh, this sucks. And you want to hate her, but she might be nice. So you don't know, but like she's got her eyes on your prom date.
Yeah. Texas and Oklahoma, there's going to be two of those where everybody's kind of watching like, and we'll see. We'll keep
I am
our eye
very
on
curious
those.
to see how they mesh next year with the conference because you play the Big 12. That's the Big 12. It's a different ball game down here, kids.
Yeah. This is I don't know. I like the Ole Miss one. I was gonna go with Georgia just because they looked the part for a lot of this year. It's especially kind of when it counted in a lot of the regular season games. Obviously, the last one game in the ACC championship, not so much. That was a tough one in most respects, but I was just trying to think of eye test looking the part in the regular season. Next, most likely to succeed. What do you got, Jesse?
I'm gonna say Ole Miss because I already put them in my top 5 for next year.
That's fair. Matt?
I'm going to deviate a little bit. I'm going to be a bit of a homer here. I'm going to say Tennessee, only because I feel like this year was a little bit of a letdown. I mean, 8 wins is still really good, and no one's complaining about. At least I'm not complaining about it. But I just feel like if things keep progressing like we think they might, plus coming off the big bowl win against Iowa, it looked pretty good against a very good defense that Iowa has. I feel like Tennessee's primed in a spot where if Nico and that wide receiver core and that offensive line can kind of haul the mail, Tennessee's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I was going to say Ole Miss, like you said, it's their first 11-win season in program history, and then all those transfer portal victories everywhere you look. So that was a good one for sure.
You said that with such derision in your voice there, Wes.
Yeah, it's rough, but you got to respect it. All right, and then let's end on a funny one. Most likely to get arrested. Jesse, who do you got?
Auburn. Look at their head coach.
Oh,
Wow, she didn't even hesitate. She
No
didn't have to
hesitation.
think about it.
Matt,
You know who I'm going to say.
I know who you're going to say because I see it right
So,
there.
who am I going to say, Wes?
You're going to say UGA. Please elaborate.
Well, you know why I'm saying UGA, right?
I don't.
Because I don't know who's giving all these kids and these coaches keys to cars. They can't drive them to save their lives. They're driving faster than all get out, driving them drunk. It's mass chaos in Athens. Kirby needs to get himself together. Some of the stories that you get out of Athens, I feel like I'm looking at Fulmer in like '96. Like I feel like it's Tennessee mid '90s, just ridiculous stuff. Ridiculous stuff.
Fun Athens fact. When I was in college as a sophomore, I believe, one of my best friends from college went to go visit her best friend in Athens for New Year's. Obviously underage. She took a gift card. I believe it was like an American Eagle gift card, and printed on regular paper an ID and stapled it to the gift card. And
That's
got
good
let
enough.
into every single bar in Athens.
I mean, also when you consider the fact that how many are there, it doesn't surprise me though. Yeah, it does not surprise me. Most likely to get arrested. If I can't pick out of conference, I won't go with Michigan. We were all thinking it. I guess I'll go with Kentucky because it was criminal how much they underwhelmed this season. I think we all kind of had high expectations and it just didn't.
We did.
Never got there. So, yeah. All right. Well, that was fun. And it's been a fun season, guys. This is it. It's over. So, yeah. If if you guys would like to contact us, please email us at pigskinsandpageantry@gmail.com. We are at Pigskins and Pageantry on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We are at PPSCC Podcast on X. Don't forget, we are available for download on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneIn Radio, and most podcasting apps for iPhone, Android, and other operating systems. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and review. We'd love 5 stars. Would greatly help our visibility and just be able to have more great conversations with wonderful people like yourselves. So, yeah, it's the end of the season. It's been a fun one. This is Wes. Until next time, go Dogs.
You're my boy, Nick. Forever and always. Roll Tide.
Say goodbye to the best place in football. We don't get to see it again until August. Don't make that face, Jesse. You're not allowed. Hey, it's basketball season, guys. Ball's in the Final Four. Go Big Orange. I hope.